we have a crisis of competence, and our education system must give us a response. Youth violence and pessimism are partly as a result of low civic competence among citizens. And this is because we have not taught our children the values of citizen participation from an early age. This is why youth pessimism and blind activism are on the rise. This report gives us two responses to the challenges of low civic competence. The first one is about training our children from an early age to understand their responsibilities to their fellow Kenyans, their duties to the country, and the rights that they derive from exercising these obligations. And the second response is having our education system teach our children to believe that they have a purpose. The report calls it self-efficacy or belief in self. This is critical in a world that teaches our children that they are not good enough. Self-efficacy under the competence-based curriculum, I believe, will reverse this anomaly. Ladies and gentlemen, this report identifies one more challenge in the education system. It seeks to reform the rigid production of workers. We want to introduce what the report calls learning to learn. We do not want our children to be bound to systems of learning that have rigid histories and predetermined ends. The purpose of the new system of learning to learn is to allow our children to explore, to innovate, and to unshackle their minds from the old and rigid molds of learning. This way, they will be able to exploit their imagination, creativity. They will become solvers of problems and use critical thinking, apply digital literacy, and feel a sense of civic duty as citizens. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this task force has made several recommendations and has also consulted widely, including through the 11 sector-based pre-conferences. This is important because it underscores my administration's commitment to adhere to the tenets of public participation as envisioned in our Constitution. And indeed, in this regard, and as an acknowledgement of accepting this report and the recommendations contained therein, as well as other curriculum reforms, I have, on this 9th day of February 2021, set my hand and presidential seal and established a new State Department for the implementation of curriculum reforms vested in the Ministry of Education. Further to these reforms, I wish to direct the Ministry of Education to 1, establish a comprehensive monitoring and evaluation mechanism that will facilitate tracking of the implementation process so that prompt interventions can be incorporated where necessary. 2, to re-engineer the standards and quality assurance function to ensure that the competency-based curriculum is implemented with fidelity to its aspirations. And 3, to work with the Teacher Service Commission to ensure that all teachers continue getting comprehensive training on the implementation of the competency-based curriculum. And 4, to collaborate with all relevant institutions to enhance assessment and education programs for all learners with special needs and disabilities, including the gifted and talented children. 5th, to work with the Teacher Service Commission to establish mechanisms of sharing physical and human resources between senior secondary and technical and vocational education training, or TVET, institutions. And 6, to domicile all sports academies to ensure that their curriculum and assessments are standardized, for this will offer learners in these sports academies opportunities to engage in other curricula outside sports, depending on their potential and career interests. 7, to rationalize all programs and courses offered in our universities to ensure that they are adequately prepared for the admission of the first competency-based curriculum cohort in the year 2029. And 8, to work with all stakeholders in the sector and government ministries to ensure that the competency-based curriculum reforms are smooth and systematically rolled out at all levels of education. Ladies and gentlemen, our founding fathers taught us that to be architects of our destiny, we must plan for it. Given that the challenges of our times cause us to respond using our education system, we can only succeed through designing and implementing a fit-for-purpose education system. That is why we are changing our system of education so that children in our country have an equal opportunity of achieving their aspirations. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we will succeed because of our ability to imagine, to plan, and to implement expeditiously, and to implement solutions that are appropriate as well as responsive. This report that we launched today sheds light on the path that we must take, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Waziri, and your ministry, the task force, and your secretariat, the Teacher Service Commission, and your team, and all stakeholders here present for delivering on this new light. It is now up to all of us to follow the path that we have lit for ourselves. And that is why I am laying particular emphasis on effective and institutionalized implementation of the curriculum reforms, as we must seize the day and ensure that every grade of our children have the very best opportunities that our nation can secure for them. Ladies and gentlemen, This is not just my report, it's our report. It is about the future of our children. It is about equipping them and tooling them to face the future. Because as I said earlier, we live today, but we shouldn't be planning about ourselves. Ours is to help plan for the future of our children. That is the foundation of stable democracies, of stable societies anywhere in the world. And I believe our children have that if we focus ourselves today to give them that future which they surely deserve. I look forward to partnering with each and every one of you in this particular effort. I want to once again, as I have said, thank all those who have been involved, and Professor Magoha, Daktari, uhakikishe hawa watu ambao wamefanya kazi hii should be amongst those who form the new State Department, waweza kuendelea na hii kazi. They are knowledgeable, they know what they are doing. Yeah? And we need them to continue with this work. We are not working for ourselves. This is not about politics. This is not about where you come from. This is not about what you think. This is about equipping and arming our children to be able to face the world tomorrow, long after all of us have gone. How we succeed is what shall determine their future. Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde. Asanteni sana kwa kazi njema. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I wish to most humbly request Your Excellency, sir, to now ceremoniously launch the report on the Task Force report on enhancing access, relevance, transition, and equity in education by pressing the buzzer there. Your Excellency, we request Cabinet Secretary and those of us here to kindly escort His Excellency the President and thank him as he does that. And here we go, His Excellency the President now launching the report. We press the buzzer. Thank you, Makofi, as the report is launched by His Excellency the President, and we can follow the launch on our screens. Ongeza sauti kidogo tuweze kusikia. Asante. Makofi tena as the report is launched. And now I request Your Excellency, sir, to present the report to the implementers. The first task force report to be presented to Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor Magoha. The second copy to the Chief Executive Officer, Teacher Service Commission, Dr. Nancy Masharia. The other one to the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, Professor Ongodo, and the final one to the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya National Examination Council, Madam Karogo. Thank you, Your Excellency. Niombe sote sasa. And one to the Chair of Education Committee in the Council of Governors. Thank you, Your Excellency. Niombe sasa sote tusimame kwa wimbo wa taifa.
Thank the DJ, the game changer.